Aaron Burr, politician, soldier, and a man with ambitions so grand they nearly led him to betray the very country he served. This conspiracy unfolds as a dark chapter in American history, filled with mystery, treason, and high-stakes political drama. Also known as the Burr Conspiracy, this is one of the most enigmatic and dramatic chapters in American history. In this video, we will take a look at the early roots of Burr's ambition to his ultimate downfall, unraveling his tangled relationships and his enigmatic, potentially treasonous intentions. If you are new to this channel, I would really appreciate if you can subscribe to this channel and give a like to this video. Please check out our other videos as well. Aaron Burr was born in 1756 to a prominent family in New Jersey, with his father a president of the College of New Jersey, now Princeton, and his mother from the influential Edwards family. Orphaned at a young age, Burr grew up under the guidance of his uncle and displayed intellectual prowess, graduating from Princeton at 16. After studying law and serving as a distinguished officer in the Revolutionary War, Burr pursued a legal and political career in New York. Burr's political path led him to the vice presidency in 1800, largely due to a complicated election where he and Thomas Jefferson tied in electoral votes. Despite his high office, Burr's ambitions and differing views led to tensions with other leaders, especially Alexander Hamilton. Their rivalry reached a climax in 1804 when Burr, feeling publicly insulted and politically undermined by Hamilton, challenged him to a duel. In 1804, the infamous duel between Vice President Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton took place in Weehawken, New Jersey. The encounter ended with Hamilton mortally wounded, leaving Burr an isolated figure. The duel didn't grant Burr the honor he'd anticipated. Instead, it brought widespread condemnation. Newspapers and political elites denounced him, and he faced charges of murder in both New York and New Jersey. Although the charges were eventually dropped, Burr was now a pariah. Shunned from politics, he began looking for other ways to reassert his influence and make his mark. As Burr pondered his future, his gaze turned to the uncharted lands of the American West. He envisioned an empire where he could rule independently, away from the restrictions of the federal government. The territory around the Mississippi River was sparsely populated and ripe for new settlements. Burr began to imagine a new society, possibly extending to parts of Spanish territory, with himself at its head. The West, for Burr, represented a fresh start, where he could build an empire out of the chaos left by the young American government's expansion. Burr needed allies to bring his grand scheme to life. His attention turned to General James Wilkinson, commander of the U.S. Army in the western frontier and a man of dubious loyalty. Wilkinson was known for his clandestine dealings with foreign governments, including Spain. Burr confided in Wilkinson, revealing his plans for an empire, and sought his support. Wilkinson, intrigued by the idea and possibly seeing personal gain, seemed to align with Burr. Together, they would create a stronghold in the West, an empire within an empire. The next step in Burr's plan involved gathering men who were willing to leave their lives behind and join his cause. The frontier was full of disillusioned men, veterans of previous conflicts, adventurers, and those seeking a fresh start. Burr knew that his pitch had to be enticing. He promised wealth, freedom, and the chance to be part of something historic. Slowly but surely, he gathered a following, though many were unaware of the full extent of Burr's ambitions. They only knew that they were part of a bold, dangerous venture. As Burr gathered support, he found a wealthy ally in Harmon Blennerhassett, an Irish immigrant with vast lands on the Ohio River. Blennerhassett was drawn to the thrill of Burr's plan and willingly invested his fortune to help fund the endeavor. His estate became a hub for Burr's activities, providing a safe location for meetings and a staging ground for supplies. Together, they schemed and planned, seeing Blennerhassett's estate as the launching point for their Western empire. With financial backing and a growing base of followers, Burr's network began to expand. He recruited men not only from the United States, but also sought to forge alliances with sympathetic figures in Spanish-controlled territories. His grand vision was taking shape, with each new recruit and ally bringing him one step closer to realizing his dreams of an independent empire. Meanwhile, his followers were given only vague ideas of the plan's ultimate goal: keeping Burr's most ambitious intentions hidden from all but a select few. Blennerhassett Island became the epicenter of Burr's operation. Burr and his followers began stockpiling weapons and provisions, transforming Blennerhassett's estate into a makeshift fortress. The once quiet island was now bustling with activity, drawing the attention of locals who wondered about the mysterious preparations. Rumors spread that Burr was planning something far beyond a mere settlement. Still, Burr kept his true intentions masked under layers of secrecy, shielding his plot from curious eyes. As activity increased on Blennerhassett Island, government officials grew suspicious. Reports of armed men gathering in the West alarmed territorial governors and even reached President Thomas Jefferson. While no one yet knew the full extent of Burr's plans, whispers of treason were in the air. Jefferson, a former ally of Burr, began monitoring the situation, deeply concerned about potential threats to national unity and security. In a bold move, President Jefferson issued a proclamation in early 1807 declaring that anyone involved in unlawful military expeditions against foreign nations would face severe punishment. Without naming Burr directly, Jefferson's message was clear, warning those involved in any plots. This put Burr in a precarious position as many of his followers grew fearful, wondering if they were in over their heads and debating whether to continue. Burr, aware of the rising suspicions, attempted to deflect the accusations. He publicly denied any intentions against the United States, framing his plans as a legitimate settlement expedition into the western frontier. Burr insisted he had no intention of seizing foreign lands or acting against the government. But as Jefferson's administration probed deeper, it became increasingly clear that Burr's denials wouldn't stop the scrutiny. The turning point in Burr's conspiracy came when General Wilkinson, his closest ally, betrayed him. Wilkinson, fearing he would be implicated in the plot, sent a letter to President Jefferson, detailing Burr's plans and positioning himself as a patriot. Wilkinson's betrayal was a devastating blow to Burr, stripping him of both a key ally and much-needed military support. Burr now faced his worst fear, being branded a traitor. In February 1807, Burr was arrested in the Mississippi Territory after being on the run for several days. Captured and placed in chains, Burr's ambitions of an empire now seemed like a distant dream. His arrest sent shockwaves through the nation, as the American public struggled to reconcile the image of their former vice president with that of a suspected traitor plotting against his country. News of Burr's arrest ignited a storm of public reaction. Some viewed him as a hero who had been unfairly maligned, while others saw him as the epitome of treachery. Newspapers across the country ran sensational stories, with some claiming Burr sought to topple the U.S. government. The public was captivated by the scandal, with Burr's name dominating the headlines. In May 1807, Burr was transported to Richmond, Virginia, where he would stand trial for treason. The courtroom was packed with spectators, eager to witness the dramatic proceedings. Burr, though stripped of his power, was determined to fight back, hiring the best defense attorneys to counter the government's case. The trial promised to be one of the most significant in American history. President Jefferson, convinced of Burr's guilt, took an unprecedented interest in the trial. He corresponded frequently with the prosecutors, urging them to secure a conviction. Jefferson's active involvement raised questions about impartiality, as critics suggested the president was seeking to personally ensure Burr's downfall. For Jefferson, this was a matter of national security and principle. Chief Justice John Marshall presided over the trial, tasked with ensuring a fair process. Despite his political differences with Jefferson, Marshall was committed to upholding the law and maintaining judicial independence. His rulings during the trial, particularly on evidence and witness testimonies, would play a crucial role in the final outcome, as he resisted pressures to secure an easy conviction. The prosecution faced a daunting challenge, proving Burr's guilt in a plot that, largely, was still based on speculation. The evidence was circumstantial, with many testimonies from former allies now wary of incriminating themselves. Letters written by Burr hinted at his ambitions, but nothing definitively linked him to the crimes of treason. The tension in the courtroom was palpable as each piece of evidence was scrutinized. General Wilkinson's testimony was key, but his credibility was questioned. Some saw him as an opportunist trying to save himself. Wilkinson's shifting alliances and his own involvement in the plot cast doubts on his character. While he painted Burr as the mastermind, Wilkinson's past with Burr was scrutinized, leading many to wonder if he was embellishing details to escape blame. Burr, facing a mountain of accusations, adopted an audacious approach to his defense. Representing himself part of the time, he argued that the government lacked concrete proof. Burr's charisma and intellect shone, and he skillfully dismantled the prosecution's arguments, leaving the spectators stunned. Burr's legal expertise and fiery rhetoric shifted public perception, casting doubt on his guilt. One of the pivotal questions of the trial revolved around the definition of treason. According to the Constitution, treason required direct acts against the nation, but Burr's actions remained in a legal gray area. Chief Justice Marshall's interpretation would determine Burr's fate, and he ruled that merely planning was not enough to constitute treason without direct proof of action. As the trial continued, Americans became polarized. Some saw Burr as a misunderstood figure punished for challenging the system, while others believed he was a traitor who had betrayed his country. Newspapers ran editorials either condemning or supporting him, turning Burr into a symbol of divisive ideals. The trial had grown from a legal battle into a national spectacle. After months of intense proceedings, Chief Justice Marshall ultimately ruled that the evidence was insufficient to convict Burr of treason. Burr was acquitted, shocking many who believed in his guilt. For Burr, this was a bittersweet victory. He was free, but his reputation had been irreparably damaged. His ambitions lay in ruins, and his place in history was forever altered. News of Burr's acquittal spread like wildfire. For some, it was a miscarriage of justice. For others, it was a triumph of due process. Celebrations and protests erupted across the country as Americans grappled with what Burr's release meant for the young nation. Burr's story had exposed the fragility and strength of the legal system, sparking conversations on justice and power. After his acquittal, Burr found life in the United States increasingly hostile. Ostracized and despised, he left for Europe, seeking refuge and perhaps a fresh start. Burr traveled through England and France, searching for opportunities, but often met with suspicion. The man who had once aspired to carve an empire was now a pariah, wandering foreign lands. In Europe, Burr hoped to reinvent himself, but his tarnished reputation followed him. He reached out to various leaders, proposing new ventures, but doors continued to close. He lived in poverty at times, struggling to reclaim any semblance of his former status. The ambitions that had fueled him were now reminders of his failed aspirations. After several years, Burr returned to America, quietly slipping back into the country. His return was met with little fanfare. The once prominent statesman was now nearly forgotten. Burr, now an elderly man, lived a modest life, practicing law in New York. His dreams of grandeur had faded, replaced by a quiet existence. In his final years, Burr's health and wealth deteriorated. He lived in obscurity, haunted by memories of his fall from grace. Those who knew him saw a man carrying the weight of unfulfilled ambition. Burr's life, once filled with excitement and power, now ended in solitude and poverty. Aaron Burr's story remains a complex chapter in American history. His audacious attempts at power revealed the young nation's vulnerabilities. Burr became a cautionary tale, embodying the perils of unchecked ambition and the blurred lines between patriotism and betrayal. Historians continue to debate his motives, but his story endures as a reminder of the American spirit's light and dark sides. Burr was a man of contradictions, charming yet ruthless, brilliant yet reckless. His life raises questions about ambition and morality, and the choices he made continue to inspire intrigue. Was Burr a misunderstood visionary or a dangerous rogue? The answer is lost to history, but his story invites reflection on the delicate balance of power and principle. Centuries after his death, Aaron Burr's story still captivates Americans. From novels to musicals, his legacy is revisited and reinterpreted, each generation finding new meaning in his life's tale. Burr's legacy may be stained, but his ambition, rise, and fall offer timeless lessons on ambition, loyalty, and the American dream. Thank you for staying with us till the end of the video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share the video and subscribe to our channel. I will see you in the next video.